Hi, my name is Ling. I'm the director of Don't Cry Butterfly. Very nice to meet you all.
So I'm Italian, so I first congratulate her for the prize in Venice, of course, and so big applause, and I wish you the best in Busan.
Thank you.
But let's start from the beginning, okay? So let's start with the birth of the film. Where does the idea come from, and how did you choose to blend the different genres?
Okay. So I'm a Vietnamese filmmaker, but I stay in Singapore. And I think when I was in my early 20s, not knowing what I should do, where I should go as a filmmaker, I decided to go back to Vietnam and make like a short film about a mother and a daughter. And the mother was trying to do a voodoo rituals to cure her daughter of her sickness. And the sickness is that she's sleeping with a married man. And the voodoo master say, your daughter is haunted by this ghost, and if you kill this ghost, then your daughter will be smart again, make smart decisions. And I really love that film. I think back then I loved the work by Hong Sang-soo and Kim Ki-dok and a lot of the satire, humor. So I felt that was something that I really wanted to do in my film. That is like that it deals with a tragedy. It deals with a very serious and tragic. Sorry, my words just left my mouth. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do for my film. I really want to tell a sad story, but with comedic elements into it. And I find that like when you put the comedy element next to a sad and tragic story, somehow it just really enhanced the tragedy aspect of it. And that film stayed with me for a while. It didn't really go anywhere. It's a small little film that I made with my friends and family. But it stayed with me for 10 years. And I kept wanting to go back there and adding more layers to it, adding more materials, adding more of my observation of life, and my point of view towards marriage and relationship also changed over the year as I grew up. So, just at one point in 2019, I decided that, okay, I'm ready to make this film into a feature, and I'm ready to tell everything that I want to tell, about family relationships and stuff. So yeah, that's when I started working on Don't Cry Butterfly. And the reason why I decided to mix genre, it wasn't like a conscious decision. In fact, I have a premise, and I just somehow let the story follow the characters and their emotional journey. And so the emotional journey asked for a scary creature at one point as a manifestation of all the repressed emotion and all the dark side of the character that she refused to face. And so it came very naturally to me. And I guess it also has to do with my personal interest in body horror. I watch a lot of work by David Cronenberg or John Carpenter's, and a lot of the B-grade Japanese Asian extreme films in the 90s, 80s, and yeah, so it's just I guess I was like a sponge, and then observing and taking in all these preferences, all this observation about life, and then I just mix and match it somehow, and it became like Don't Cry Butterfly. Yeah.
And what would you say was the biggest difficulty transitioning from short film to feature?
It was such a learning curve trying to transition from short film to feature film. I think for short film, there's much more freedom, and the duration is much shorter, so you get to pick just a specific point in time and a specific quick come in, come out kind of discussion. But like for a feature film, you have the duration, which is great because then you can go into really complex layers of emotion and to develop character. But then it's a challenge to make everything cohesive and to really retain the interest for the audience, especially in the second act. Because, for both my short film and feature films, I always have the beginning and the ending decided before I expand the story. So it always works that way for me. And same as Don't Cry Butterfly, I have the opening and the ending many years before. It's just the middle part, how I feel everything that I have observed over the years there and develop the characters and keep the audience entertained. Yeah, so that was a challenge.
So you portrayed a sarcastic yet very bitter representation of the condition of women in Vietnam. what struck me the most was the determination of these women to hold onto unfaithful husbands who, in fact, do not respect them. So, is this really the situation in Vietnam?
Okay, how do I compact this very complicated matter into one? Okay, I think when I grew up, there were a lot of lessons taught to me as a girl growing up, right? You know, your duty in life is to know how to cook, know how to clean the house, get a husband, give birth to a child, making sure your family stays happy, your husband is well fed, you know, your child can get good education. And that felt like, you know, my purpose in life. And I think growing up, being fed on this kind of expectation from the society, it somehow stayed with you. And so when I grew up, even being under that influence and watching my mother and watching my relatives, my aunties, my sisters, my mother's friends, they are all under the same influence of all the societal expectation of what a woman should be, what a family should function, how to maintain a presentable face for the family, because apparently if you don't fulfill all those duties as a woman, you have failed, and you have have not done your duty to your family and your society. But it's never mentioned how you should identify for yourself what you are feeling towards happiness, what can make you whole as a person outside of that family unit that the society asks you to put yourself into. And so back to the fact that a lot of women try to hold on to a failed marriage, I really think that it's come from that pressure, that I shouldn't let go of this, because if I let go of this, it's shameful. It's shameful for the family, it's shameful for me, it's shameful for my husband, shameful for my child. A lot of excuses were like, I want my children to have both parents growing up. But was that really okay, have you ever asked yourself whether you are still in love with the partner that you are trying to hold on to, or whether staying with that partner will give you and your children a fulfilling life? I feel that those questions were not asked, and that is precisely what I want to ask in the film, by showing the characters trying so desperately to hold on to a failed marriage without even having a moment for herself, by herself, alone, asking, how am I feeling? What should I do to make myself happy? Yeah. So.
And I felt one of the main themes of the film is the relationship between mother and daughter. Can you tell us your opinion about how it is, this relationship?
Okay. So the reason why I chose the mother and a daughter relationship to be portrayed in the film is I am very intrigued by this never-ending cycle of women being put into a box of societal expectation. And I really want to show that through the two generations. I mean, in the film, you can see that the daughter is so bright and she has all these, rose-tinted dreams about how she would be able to have a better life than what her mom is doing. And she's so against what the mom is doing. Whereas the mom is like trying to run away from her own emotion. I mean, she spiraled down her own path. But essentially, both of them are running away from the problem, right? I mean, the daughter is like, oh, I'm just going to get out of the country and then the problem will be solved. I will have a happy life. Not knowing that, that is also another life that she will have to deal with eventually. And then the mother is more obvious, which is where she just basically ignore all her emotion and then ignore all the questions that she should have asked before she takes action. And so it's interesting that both women, two generations, have very different approach to the same tragedy that is unfolding in the family. And yet they are still trapped inside their mind and inside this box that the society has put for them. And they are totally unaware of that. So I think it's very interesting to juxtapose that and also put next to the, love that they have for each other. Yeah.
Okay. So I will go now more about the co-production, sorry, because your film is a very interesting case. It's an international co-production.
Yes.
And it's been also chosen by Busan to discuss tomorrow. So
Yes.
good luck with that.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit more about this journey of co-producing your debut film, feature film?
Okay. So traditionally, a lot of Vietnamese films, because we don't have governmental support for independent films, so we always look for financial support from outside of the country. But traditionally, we will look for countries like France or Germany. They have treaties or they are very supportive of Vietnamese cinema. But for my case, it's a bit different because me and Suren, my co-producer, we decided to find funding exclusively within Southeast Asia. Asia. We only have one financier from UK, but the rest they come from Asia, and I find that very encouraging because first in Southeast Asia we have all this cooperation scheme going on, the cooperation scheme between Singapore and other Southeast Asian countries. There's also one from Philippines. There's another grant that is from Thailand. And we are really aiming to create this community within Southeast Asia to really support each other and find collaborators from within the region. And it's great because when I have to work with another collaborator from, let's say, Philippines, and I pitch the story to them, they get it immediately. Because we are from the same social background, we have similar mythologies, we have similar kind of weird creatures going on, and we just click immediately. And I find that very, very different from, let's say, having to explain the idea behind the house spirit in the film to somebody who is from a totally different background, who don't grow up with like all these superstitions or like spirituality world. So it has been a fulfilling journey, and I really love this model that we are having right now, and I love working with all my collaborators from within Southeast Asia because I think we have very unique point of view. We are similar in a way, but also different, and in a way we can kind of enhance each other with our creative voice. Yeah.
Since you mentioned these beliefs, I'm a bit curious about how prevalent is in Vietnam people believing in the supernatural, like the mother, and also if you believe in magic, let's say.
So you were saying, do I believe in magic?
Yeah. In ghosts, I don't know.
Okay, sorry, I need to add for the previous answer. We did get a grant from Vision Sud-Est, which is in Switzerland. Yeah, which happened during our shooting period. Yeah, we were shooting and then we said, yeah, we got it. Well, growing up in Vietnam is a highly superstitious country. Even for just worshipping, we have like 3 different systems of worshipping. We worship the gods of the heaven and of all the creatures and trees and the river and the mountains. Everywhere there's a god residing. And we also have to worship our ancestors, those who have passed away, and we ask for their blessings. We believe that their spirits are with us. In fact, when I was a kid, my mother went to see a fortune teller, and the fortune teller said, "How your daughter, is being followed by one of your ancestors," and the ancestor is like blessing her. so yeah. And yeah, we also have our other system of worshipping, which is like Buddhism, which is the most popular religion in Vietnam. But we also have like Christianity and Catholic and other religions. So yeah, pretty much it's a very spiritual country. As much as we say in a communist country, there's no ghosts, but I mean the most popular genre in Vietnam is horror, so you can tell. And yes, I do believe in the existence of a spiritual realm, of another realm or many other realms that exist, together with us, and I do respect them, and I do believe that how would I say, we are not the I mean, I do believe that we are very closely connected to all the other realm. It's just whether we are able to see it or not, and it's actually not important. But as long as we acknowledge and be aware that it's there, you know, for example, when you go to the forest and then you pay respect to the trees, and it's like in Vietnam, some of the original people, when they go hunting, they will leave a bit of food back for the forest as a form of gratitude to the god of the forest. And I find that it's how human used to be. We were very connected to nature and to the spiritual realm, but slowly we have been detached from it. And I really want to, you know, go back to that. Yeah. That's a long answer. And in terms of distribution plan, we have signed with CJ Vietnam, so we will have distribution plan in Vietnam. I think early next year, but we haven't decided on a date yet. But I'm very excited that I can finally show this film to a Vietnamese audience. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I was also wondering that there is a part of the film that talks about a part of the city that is disappearing, but like this scene with the ladders, like apart. And I was wondering if something like that is happening, redevelopment in the city.
You notice the development of the city. You notice, yes. Yes. Okay. It's yeah, there was a detail that is kind of like subtle and hidden in the film, and it's represented through, you know, the snippets of the two friends, you know, going to the rooftop. It's almost like their little green corner, utopian in the landscape of a developing country, and there's a lot of constructions going on around. I mean, it's a sound design. We purposely put all those messy, noisy construction audio inside just to show how the country is changing, and the time is changing, it's developing, but against that developing backdrop, are we changing in terms of our mental state? Are we really going to be able to move forward from all the boxes that were put by the societal expectation that is like grounding us inside? Because as much as the society is developing and changing every day, but our mentality is somehow still stuck in the past. And so that's what I was trying to explore in the film, yeah. Mm.
So I have a question about how the boy situation, how you portray the boy situation, because basically you mentioned suicide without being there, you know, it's just something that it's superficial, but not because it's superficial, because it, you know, it's, so I wanted to better understand what's the situation about it. So is this suicide really a matter in Vietnam, or is something that you only wanted for that character in that moment?
Okay. Well, the ending for the boy in the film, for me, it, like you said, is subtle. It's not hinting towards a definite end for him. I feel that it's because it's not necessary. Because as he drifts through the film and drifts through life, feeling very lost and stuck in the past, and then now that his best friend is leaving the country, I feel that whether he's still there physically or he's not, is not important anymore, because we know as an audience the ending for him, that he will forever be stuck there. And we know that she, Ha, the best friend, she will have to move on with her life without him. As much as she tried to convince herself, which is part of her delusional mentality, that she would somehow manage to bring him over with her and they will live happily ever after, we as audience know that it's just a fantasy that she has, and she has to leave him behind so that she can grow up and escape. So that was my intention for the ending, and therefore it was done in such a way that it's kind of open-ended. Yeah.
Okay, and can you tell us a bit about how the casting worked?
The casting. Okay. So it's going to be a long answer. Okay. Well, the casting was interesting because none of the four main actors were cast in the same way. The lead actress, the mother, the actress Lê Tú Anh, I worked with her before in my short film Sweet Salty, and I really love the energy that she brings to the screen. She's actually a theater actress, but she knows how to tone down the emotion and the expression for the camera really well. And she's very aware of the shot sizes and everything. So that is something that I find it's very admirable for me. And so I invited her to be on this project. In fact, when I was writing the script, I thought about her. The husband character, Tang, was very difficult to find because I knew that I wanted a man in his 40s, 50s, and he needs to be very good looking, like somebody who looked really good when he was young. Somebody who actually have this kind of like sheltered life vibe to him, who has lived his life, and doing everything right to the societal expectation. Be a man and go out and work and do the manly duties. But he doesn't know how to communicate with the people who are closest to him. And I find that is something that is very prominent in Vietnam as well, when we have many absent father figures, because that's all they know how to do. It's not their fault. It's the society telling them that's how you should behave as a man. And therefore, I need a character that looks good, looks sheltered, and also have this like dreamy but lost kind of vibe. It's almost like, what am I doing here with my life? And I casted many, I was looking through the database of the Vietnamese actors, and there are not so many of them who have that charisma to them. And I was happy that I found Lê Vũ Long. He acted in The Third Wife, another Vietnamese film that was screened here in Busan. And I invited him, and he was, yay! And we got him to work with us. For the two young actors, I put up an open casting call. So I casted, I think, around 100 or more candidates. We had like 2 or 3 rounds of audition. And it's funny because Nam Linh, the actress that played the daughter Ha, she's not even an actress. She's not trained at all. She was working as a production assistant on the film set that my producer worked on. And she just told me, Ling, there's this lady, she worked for me as a production assistant, and she has an interesting face. And so I asked her to come over just to try it out. And the moment she came into the room, I felt the air of the room changing. And I watched her performance purely out of instinct, because she has no training in acting prior. And I couldn't get her out of my head. And that's how I know, okay, I've fallen in love. And I still fall in love with her now, even after the film is done and we have become friends, and we just every time she comes into the room, I feel like there's a sun shining and just make people smile. Yeah. And then the actor who plays the best friend, Bùi Thạc Phong, he is a student studying in the Film and Theatre Academy of Hanoi, and he also applied for the open casting. And when he came in, it was different. It was almost like he wasn't even acting. He was just very relaxing and playing himself, and he has this like sense of awkwardness about him, which is very different from other actors who always try to play it cool and like handsome and like look good and be proper. He's just awkward, and he's natural in his awkwardness, and I like it. And I was like, okay, you can try to keep your hair long for me. And 2 months later, we had the second round of audition, and his hair was long, and I was like, okay, this guy is dedicated to his role. Method acting, good. I will cast him. And I put him next to Nam Linh, and they click immediately. So I felt that, okay, this is good. And it's funny because Phong, he is a son of Oanh, the lead actress. Yeah, but I cast them separately. And I had to keep it a secret, because if he knew that she was casted, he would be so hesitant to join. She'll be like, oh, okay, with my mom, yeah. So, but yeah, I got my 4 dream cast from that process.
So what happened when she found out?
Sorry?
What happened when she found out?
Oh my god, it was so funny because we organized the final audition in such a way that we arranged the schedule so that Oanh, the mother, she would leave before the 2 young people come in. But he was early, he was a responsible actor, so he was early, and he caught his mom as she was about to leave, and he was like, why are you here? And she's like, oh, oops. But by then I already told him that, like, I chose you because of your talent and not because of, you are your mom's son, that would be stupid. That would be stupid of me. I mean, that would be very wrong for a director to do this kind of thing. So yeah.
It's super nice that when you speak, I do feel your energy and all the passion you put into the project. It's totally like out. It's very clear and vibrant. So
thank you.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, thanks a lot from my side. I'm very happy about all we discussed and everything.
Okay. It's okay if I continue?
Sure.
Okay.
Also 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay. You're okay?
Well, yeah, of course. It's always there.
Okay. So can you tell me a bit about cinematography also, what you want to do in the visual aspect of the film, let's say?
Okay. Well, for me, the visual aspect of the film always come from both the cinematography and the production designer. And I make sure that they have to work very closely together with me so that it's like a triangle of creativity, not sadness. and we are a triangle of creativity where the 3 of us have to really know the stories and the characters inside out so that we can translate that into the visual language. And I make sure that we sit down and talk a lot actually about the character. I think a good understanding of the character will manifest itself into a good sense of visual, because then they understand the emotion that I want to portray in each scene and the motivation behind it. And so they can work out the color scheme, the camera movement, the placement of the angles to really try to tell the story. So what I told them is that I really want to suffocate the characters. I want the place, especially their house, to feel like it's dead. And so Lanzi, my production designer, she filled the place with a lot of heavy wooden furniture that is dark in color. It makes the entire visual so heavy and very dreadful. Even the color of the wallpaper on the wall it has got patterns on it, but it's very disorienting kind of pattern. Very, how would I say this? It just makes the entire place look a bit messy. And and then I asked Goi, the cinematographer, to really frame the character so that she always look like she is being trapped, whether by the furniture or by the people around her, so that she doesn't have any space to breathe. And I think it worked well in the final visual of the film, where there are many people who come to me and say, oh my God, it looks very suffocating. And actually, another component that contributes to the visual of the film, this is an invisible visual, which is the sound design. I feel that sound design is so underestimated. When I talked to Ting Li, our sound designer, I told her I want the house to breathe in a very stagnant and humid kind of air. So you need to feel, when you're inside the house, you need to feel this sense like all your energy is being drained from you, and at the same time you are being disturbed by all the noises from outside. It's kind of a metaphor, for the inner world of the character and the outside society, putting all these noises onto their life. Yeah, I think it's all these elements work really well together, and I'm very proud that we have like a good creative team, and then they give me a lot of inputs as well to how to best express the emotion that I want to convey with the film, because most of the time I just talk to them about emotion, feeling. So this is what I want the audience to feel in this scene, and can you execute that for me? And then they come up with solution. Yeah.
Also with the heat, I mean, you have this like continuous presence of them sweating, the fan and blowing, and all.
Yes.
That's something that was suffocating at first.
Yes, that was my it was a nightmare for the makeup team, because we had to like every time we start rolling, they have to like come in, spray everything, and then run off, and then shoot. And by the time we cut, the sweat has dried off. They have to come in and spray again. And there was so much waiting and designing for the sweat, and I didn't know that it would take so much time just to create sweat. And you have to spray in the correct place so that it looks presentable, because if you just spray it on the face, it looks fake. So there's a lot of like patting and like trying to make the sweat look realistic. So this is a lesson to be learned for the next film.
Winter.
Winter, I know. No, but winter will incur more cost for the costume.
Right.
I had to think about all this, budget and everything.
Did you tell me about the creature? How did you manage to create that?
Sorry?
The creature in the film.
Oh, do you want a long answer or a short answer? How many minutes do we have?
4 minutes. So
Okay.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the inspiration behind the creature is actually a Filipino mythology creature. It's called the aswang. It's basically like a creature that would park itself on a person's ceiling, or no, a person's roof, and it would somehow stick its tongue into the house and suck a fetus out of a pregnant woman's womb. And I'm just intrigued by the image of the tongue sticking out from the ceiling. And this is something that one of my mentor in my script writing program pointed out, that is very closely resemble the act of penetration when a man is on top of a woman. And it's interesting because both has something to do with the energy of the woman being sucked away. Either it's the creature sucking the baby, or either it's intercourse. It's an energy exchange kind of activity. So I find it's very interesting that I could bring that kind of thought process into this creature that was born out of, all the repressed emotion and the dark side of Tâm, the main character. She manifested it, and then when the scene happened, it manifests itself into a full-on creature, and then it's sucking all her energy out of her. And the creation process of it was very interesting, because everybody told me, let's do CGI, and I'm like, no, I want practical effect. I'm old school. I'm like John Carpenter, the thing, he does it like practical, and like if they could do that, we could do that. So we got an SFX artist on board. He's a Filipino, and we talk a lot. Also similar to how I talk to my DP and my production designer, is the feeling I want the audience to get. I don't want it to be a gory, too scary kind of thing, but it also should resemble the act of penetration, even the way that it pulsates and the veins around it. So we constructed like a frame for it, and then we cover the entire frame with on these veins, and then we pour this black gooey liquid on top of it. But the liquid is not pure black, because I don't want to make venom. It's actually iridescent black, almost like a snake skin that under the sun, and you see all the color growing out of it. And because I want it to be gory but also pretty at the same time, And if you actually watch the film and you pay attention again, then you will notice that in the daughter's room, there's always a little bit of rainbow going on. And then this creature has a little bit of the iridescent rainbowish going on. And of course, it's totally different things. But then it's also just to help enhancing the relationship between the daughter and the mother visually. Yeah.
Was it expensive?
It was very expensive.
It seems like.
It's expensive because of the iridescent powder. Because we use we experiment with the cheap ones, and we experiment with the expensive one. And then the SLX artist, Jeff, he showed me, he's like, Ling, which one do you prefer? And of course, I pointed at the expensive one, and then I look at my producer, can you make it happen? As many directors do. And my producer is like, oh well. Yeah, so that's how it happened, yeah.
Well, I guess that's it.
Yay!
Thank you very much.